What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Wake up with me. It's your man, Trayvon Pratt, with AIM, always improving the mind. Yes, man, it has been a wonderful week, and we have been talking about communication. You can't have community without communication. And if we can improve the communication, our communication skills, then we can improve the communication everywhere. And with improving communication, we then can have more unity, have more love, more generosity, less fear mongering, right? Less of the scarcity mentalities, less depression, suicide, less crime, right? We'll have so much more of abundant things of voluptuous, virtuous, beautiful, wonderful things like kindness and generous, right? Like uh spreading of resources instead of harboring and holding on to, breadcrumbs. We'll be able to actually build with one another all through improving the communication, right? You can't have community without communication. Now, today, and it's been a wonderful week. We've tapped in so many different facets, so many areas of communication. It's been it's been interesting. Like some of the things I know or I've learned, I don't even realize like need to be discussed. And that's what's awesome about doing this, is because I learn alongside you all as well, right? That's why I say learn with me. Learn with me. We're always improving. So today, let me ask you, what is what is key to all success? What is key to all success? It's a popular phrase, right? There's many things that you need in order to succeed, but what is key for all success in any area, internal, external, financial, relationship, right? What is key to all success? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. The key to all success is consistency. Simple, I know, but it is true. It is true. The key to all success is consistency. Okay. And let me highlight what consistency is, right? This is the definition of consistency. It says a degree, a density, firmness, viscosity that is more so like texture, right? Uh Steadfast adherence to the same principles, course, form, etc. It says agreement, harmony, or compatibility. Mm, solid. The condition of coherent or holding together and retaining form. So consistency, agreement, harmony, compatibility. Consistency is key because consistency builds trust. Consistency shows you the real, right? Like somebody can tell you one thing, but if you consistently doing the other, this is why actions uh hold more strength than words. If somebody shows you something, repeatedly versus telling you otherwise, you're gonna go off of off of what you see, right? But if you're consistent within your action and your wording, people are gonna trust that, like you don't even when you're a certain degree of consistent, you have moral, you have principle, you have things that you do and do not agree with, you have stuff that you stand on. It's not to be predictable, but it is to know your character, right? So when you become consistent, especially in communication, then certain things people won't bring to you, right? People won't bring you certain drama or what you consider drama. If you're consistent in not wanting to indulge in that type of conversation, people will understand that it takes consistency to draw a boundary, right? You might have to draw that line a few times to make it bolder, make it bigger, a bigger line, right? Think of like a sidewalk. You draw that line. If you keep drawing that line, it becomes bigger and brighter, right? You might have to paint over that thing a few times. But as consistency and communication, right? Consistency builds trust. If I hear somebody say they don't rock with that, and somebody else comes to them and say the same thing to them, and you're like, I don't rock with that, I know that person doesn't rock with whoever's trying to bring the same thing. It might be different people bringing it to them, but if they say they don't rock with that, they don't rock with that, right? It's consistency. So you know not to bring that to them. Vice versa. If somebody keeps talking about the same thing over and over, obviously this is important to them. Obviously, this either affects them, it triggers them emotionally, or it like charges them up. It gives them some type of fulfillment. It makes them smile, laugh, happy. You know, consistency. When somebody keeps bringing up, I pay attention, right? I know how to listen, and I might not be the best because we're always improving, but I definitely pay attention. So when somebody is talking to me, I listen and I can hear some of the patterns of the conversation. I can hear when a certain like I can hear what you're avoiding, right? I started realizing when people were trying to persuade me, it's because it's something that you won't tell me, right? And it's a lot of times I'm waiting for it. Or it's something like if you're trying to persuade me, maybe you're trying to protect me. It's still something that you're not telling me. And I can acknowledge it, right? What we said the other day is truth is usually simple. So you trying to dance around the truth is making this complicated. Let's simplify it. What are you not telling me? Right? I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. So uh all of that comes in consistency within that pattern of the conversation. You keep on seeing the dips, or like when it's time when it's time to tell me what you don't really want to tell me because you think it might affect me. Like you might do a little nonverbal cue, you're like, so that's just how it is. You might get a little low in tone. You might start to whisper a little because it ain't something that you really want to say, but it needs to be said, and it's okay. It's all part of communication, right? It's all part of communication, right? I pay attention through the pattern of the conversation, the rhythm of the conversation. What are you saying? What is not being said? What's the intention? I don't mind asking, right? I'm listening. But most of all, like I said, I'm paying attention. Like, you will be consistent in whatever, regardless if you notice it or not. That's just one of the reasons why people read through the lines, between the lines. It's because I gotta be like, you're gonna be consistent. So whatever you're consistently doing, you don't even realize you're doing. I had one person who, when they lie to me, they rub their hands like this. I'm like, you don't do that any other time in conversation. You don't do that any other time. So I learned, with consistency, I learned to pay attention when she started doing like this. Like, oh, you capping. Go on. I'm gonna let you finish, and I'll tell you yes or no. But I picked up on that. It's consistency. Consistency builds trust. And trust, you can trust someone to be what they are consistently, right? If someone is narcissistic, is an asshole, right? Then you can trust them to be narcissistic. And it's not like you're gonna be like, had the expectation that they're gonna be the complete opposite, right? You're not gonna expect Kanye to hug the paparazzi. No, no. You could trust and believe that this is how this person is gonna be in this situation, right? If you have a super sensitive person who will cry almost at anything, then that's consistent. You can trust that that person is going to be super sensitive within the conversation. You can trust that, right? If you have someone who is borderline cocky, highly confident, then you usually trust for that person to be confident. Guys, how many times, especially as adolescents, as teenagers, how many times you as a group go to approach another group of girls, you know which one you want to be the icebreaker. You know which one you want to approach the group and break the barrier of starting the conversation. So then all of y'all could talk. Both groups can talk. You trust that consistency. This person is consistently confident, is more willing to talk, more willing to take the rejection or the no. So we're gonna put you in position. Consistency. Consistency builds trust, right? And consistency in communication establishes a reliable flow of information, right? You start to know someone's character through their consistency. And truth be told, this has been tested, and everybody who knows if you're in a relationship, if you know your partner or want to get to know your partner, you'll realize, they're consistent about certain topics, certain areas of life. They're consistent. So you know that if you was to bring this conversation up, the response you'll get. But working on communication, you can have that conversation in a different manner. You could associate it with a lighter subject, so it don't seem so heavy or such a burden or a waste of time or whatever the reason why your spouse or your partner wouldn't want to have a conversation, right? But consistency establishes a reliable flow of information. You have to be consistent. So I tell y'all, most mishaps stem from miscommunication, right? A lot of times we're highly communicative in the beginning of a relationship, right? We don't really realize how much we put into the start of a relationship, that puppy love phase, right? And then people get comfortable and things set apart because you're not putting in the same type of effort in the longevity. It's in the long run. The long term relationships still keep up with what's going on in the puppy love. It's not all like super bubbly, but they keep up certain things. And one of those things, especially, is communication. If you ask me what makes a relationship last, it's not love. It's not love. It's trust and effective communication. I can love anybody. We're humans. We are bred to love. We are born to love. That is our nature. That is our God given power. You are going to love. I can love anyone. I'm not compatible with anyone. I can't stay with anyone. I can't build with anyone, but I could love everybody. So, love is not what keeps us together. No, ma'am. No, sir. What's going to keep you together is trust and effective communication. And once one is affected, then the other gets affected. So, what I say, most mishaps stem from miscommunication. So, when there's a miscommunication, a breakdown of communication, a lack thereof communication, then it starts to infringe on the trust. And if you can't trust this person, you will not stay. That's how important communication is in a relationship. You gotta have those conversations. You gotta check in. You gotta do the same things that you were doing in the beginning. You have to be consistent, even when it gets annoying. I know it gets annoying. You don't want those rudimentary questions like where you at, what you doing, who you with. You know, you probably get tired of what time you gonna come home. But it's a real question and a real concern. Answer those questions ahead of time, especially if you know they're coming. Especially if you know they're coming. Having empathy, this is your partner. I keep saying partner because it's not just, I know a lot of people think that it goes to like in the gay realm, and that's not it. Your woman, your man, your spouse is your partner. You are a union. As a relationship, you build together. So this is your partner. You have to communicate with whom you're working with, right? You have to communicate with whom you're working with. You have to communicate. You can't leave it to assumption. Man, you know I'm at work, man. Yeah, you know I be working late. She doesn't know that. Let her know. You know how much ease of mind that brings? You know my schedule. You know today extra stuff happened. It's going to be a late night. She's not sitting by the door waiting on you to pop up and hours go by and it's like, "Where are you?" And then when she out of concern asks you, "Where are you?" You upset. "I'm at work. Where you think I'm at?" Because of the assumption she knows. She doesn't know. I recently learned that there's an accident there's one accident every 9 seconds in the US, I believe. There's an accident every 9 seconds in the US. So you could have gotten in an accident. It's highly probable that you could have gotten in an accident on the way home. You know, an idle mind is the devil's playground. She don't have no without communication from you, sir. She don't have no choice but to think of what could possibly be going on. Is he hurt? Is he lost? Is he in danger? Is he, even worse off? What's going on? Is he at work? I don't want to be nosy. All of these thoughts are going through this person's head, and you can cancel all of that by, hey, babe, I'm still at work. It's going to be a late night. Communication. Right? The what you doings and all of that. The small talk. I'm gonna have to put that on my list of topics. Small talk. Uh a lot of people don't talk to people because they don't like small talk. And I'm like, well, talk big then. Talk big then. Get to the juice. Skip all of the bull, man. Get to it then. But yes, consistency in communication. Be willing to communicate. Be consistent with your communication. It is a daily practice, and it can get tedious it can get tedious at times. It can get annoying, right? Raise your hand if you like repeating yourself. Mm? Raise your hand if you like asking questions more than one. Nobody. Nobody. That's one of the main reasons why students don't do well in school. Because they don't want to be the one raising their hand asking the question. And then if they do ask the question and they still don't understand, they're not willing to ask again. They associate some type of shame or guilt with it. And then they identify themselves as stupid. And if you think you're stupid, why even try? Why even try to be smart? Right? And that can just come from one instance. You got what, 7 classes a day? Again, going back to consistency and communication, man. If we was willing to ask again, ask again. If you don't understand, ask. You still don't understand, ask again. Right? You ever see a kid before they have all of this fear instilled in them? A kid who just learns how to talk wants to know what? Why? You say they're in their why phase. A kid will ask why. And again, these things can get annoying. But what I learned, especially as an adult, is if you ask why enough, you'll get to the root. If you ask why enough, you'll get to the root. You'll get to the meaning. I want to make money. Why? No, I want to I want to be a millionaire. Why? I want to make money. Why? So I could provide for myself and my family. Why? Because I love myself and my family. Why? Just keep on going. Do it 7 times. And like I said, it seems annoying on the surface, but you ask why enough, you'll get to the root. Most of the times, if you do that practice, whatever your goal is, ask yourself why 7 times. Man, I did that. I was in tears, man, because it hit the root. It hit the real meaning of why I wanted to do whatever, be whatever. And got to the real reason. So don't be afraid of that question. Why? Why is the only question that brings forth purpose, meaning, reasoning, right? If you don't understand something, ask. If you still don't understand, ask again. Try again. This is consistency. You may have to repeat yourself. Yes, I don't like repeating myself either. Nobody truly likes it, but I love learning and I love teaching. I do. I do. I do. I like learning more, but I do love teaching. I do love teaching. So if it's something that you don't understand and I can communicate in a different way to convey the same message, remember word choice. Remember word choice. So if I could communicate a different way to get you to understanding the message, then I will. But I won't know that you need a different form of communication unless you ask, unless you tell me, unless you show me that you still don't understand. A lot of people who are practicing listening, right? They're more so just being agreeable. Hmm. A lot of people who are practicing listening are more so just being agreeable. Within the conversation, they but they're not actually soaking in what's being said, the information that's being given, right? Here's how you know if someone's listening to you. Ask them to repeat what you just said. And if they no, I got you. Yeah, I'm listening. Okay, so repeat what I just said. What did I just say? I don't know. You won't listen. I'll say it again. This time pay attention. You know. You was worried about that phone buzzing in your pocket. You was worried about that shawty walking past you. Another topic. Now, again, with consistency, you may have to repeat yourself, and that's cool. That's okay. Be willing to repeat yourself. Be willing to repeat yourself. And then when you use that combination of consistency, empathy, listening, nonverbal, and tonality and word choice, specifically here, tonality and word choice, then you'll find a different way to convey the same message. I honestly, like sometimes I'll dumb it down, I'll simplify it to where it's like, ain't no way you don't understand this. And then somebody else will say it as simple as I did, but in their way. And the way that they did it made sense to somebody else, right? Consistency and communication. If you really want to convey the message, then be consistent. Try and try again. This is where I see us lacking in communication because we aren't willing to repeat ourselves. We assume that the next person, whoever we need to communicate with, won't understand. So we aren't willing to even put forth the effort in communicating, just trying, just trying, just saying, hey, like, hey has been met with, you know, rejection. Part of my purpose is I want to boost the communication in the Black community. I want our brothers and sisters to be able to just say hey to one another. We're so Is man versus woman, old versus young, like single versus relationship, and it's everything pitted against each other, you know, independent versus communal. And it's like, yo, none of that makes sense. Light versus dark, none of that makes sense. So part of my purpose in communication is to bring my people together. One of the things that I do is I make sure that I speak to my people as in passing, just a simple hello and a smile, so that this is not, it's breaking that stereotype, right? That you got to be on your guard, got to be on your P's and Q's, or like, I'm just trying to, especially for the ladies, I'm just trying to holler at you, like, no, I don't want you. I just say, hey. But it's so, the reason why that's a purpose is because I see it's a need. It's so bad that if you say, hey, sometimes you may get met with, nah, I don't want you. Nah, you're not my type. Nah, I got a man. Thank you. And it's like, tell your man hey too. Right? Your gas tank open. I was trying to tell you that your gas tank open. You about to leak out all this gas that you just put in your car. But I mean, that's on you. You got a light out. I'm trying to tell you that your headlight blown, but I guess you don't need to see in the dark, right? Most mishaps stem from miscommunication. So that's one of my goals. One of my purposes is to make sure, to break that tension, make it easy for us to be able to just say hey to one another. Get rid of the assumption, get rid of that negative, that tension that you're carrying amongst your own people. And that takes what? Consistency. So people who know me knows that I'm going to say hey, right? I'm going to I'm going to speak. I'm going to reach out. How many networking events you've been to and collected all of these contacts? How many contacts have you actually talked to? How many contacts you actually reached out to? All of these people you follow on social media, how many of them do you actually connect with? How many you actually reached out to? Hmm? How many times did you reach out? We human, man. We are human. And it's great to be. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to, especially in electronic communication. I forget, I'm Mr. Communication here, and I have patches of time when I will respond to text, DM, and all of that. And by the time I get to that patch of time, I forget. I forget, right? And then it's like, oh, so and so did hit me up yesterday. It's like that was yesterday. But I will respond when I acknowledge it. It's easy to forget electronic communication. But had you hit me up a second time, then I'd be like, okay, it's important. Let me, like, I saw that you hit me up the first time. The second time, I'm like, let me make sure I respond. Obviously, it's something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. Let me see, right? Consistency. How many times did you reach out once and that once was the determining factor of whether or not you even gonna talk to this person anymore? How many times, man? How many times you've met someone who you find interest in, swap numbers, and you like, I'm not gonna call. I wait for them to hit me up. What if a commonality is y'all think the same? So both of y'all like, I'm not gonna call. I wait for them to hit me up. Nobody ever calls. That could have been the perfect relationship That never happened because nobody was willing to communicate. Come on, man. Consistency, consistency and communication. You have to be willing to repeat yourself. And after you repeat yourself, usually around that third time, when it comes to repeat yourself, you'll be able to see whether or not is this person deliberately not listening? Because some people are not listening intentionally, right? But staying in the conversation. Some people are not listening intentionally, but staying in the conversation. So after repeating yourself, you'll be able to see the intention. Like, do you actually not understand what I'm saying? Did I say too much? Can I choose different words to convey this message? Or is it you just, you being you being sarcastic with your what you say? Mm, you know, are you playing with me right now? Or are you serious? Like and then you can niche it down, narrow it down. Like what don't you understand? What don't you understand? Tell it, say it back to me. Repeat after me. You know what I'm saying? Repeat what I said. That, where did I lose you? If you truly want to understand, are you listening to understand? Huh? Because if you're not listening to understand, it's no surprise why you don't understand. I mean, simple, right? So be consistent with your communication. And when you're consistent with your communication, then people can trust that and it becomes more effective, right? Keep up the same communication that you started with any friend, relationship, partnership, whatever. Like managers, pay attention to your consistency. So they know if you're reliable or not based off your attendance, your performance, your communication, right? With proper communication, I was talking about this yesterday. With proper communication, I know a manager would know like, hey, this person is not usually sick. Something must be going on. They don't need discipline if they didn't show up today. It must be something, right? It must be something. And they'll communicate, good ones. What's going on? You're not at work. Is everything okay? Or they'll know that your communication, you would be you would take the initiative to tell them like, listen, such and such is going on, this and that. Let them know ahead of time, setting the tone, right? Let them know ahead of time so that they could make the proper adjustments in the workplace. They could trust that. Like all around me, people are calling out, people are using sick leave, people are not coming in, no call, no show, and they're getting, the highest forms of discipline that they can get because, you know, that's the management. But me, I let them know in advance, hey, in 2 weeks I got an event. I won't be here on this day, but I'll cover on my day off. Cool. So when I'm not there and I don't get disciplined, everybody like, man, y'all don't do the same thing to him. I communicated. They could trust my communication. Right? Consistency in communication. And I'm consistent with that. So they know that if I'm going to if If I know I need time, if I know I'm not gonna be here, I'll let you know. They know that. That's consistency, right? If somebody goes to have plans with me, I need to be included in the plan. Otherwise, I may plan something else. Communication, right? Same outwardly. If I go to plan something for someone else, I need to know what your plans are. I can't plan something with you if I don't know your availability. I can't plan to do anything or work with you if I don't know your availability. If I don't know what you do. If I don't know what your what I need you to be consistent in to work with you. And that all goes in the line of communication. So consistency is key all across the board for all success. You have to be consistent with whatever you do. Whatever you do, you have to be consistent, right? Consistency builds trust. Trust. Consistency builds trust. It establishes a reliable flow of information. If the flow is cut off, lack of communication or uh, miscommunication, if the flow is cut off, then we could address where the communication started to lack or change. Usually, if the communication changed, somebody is feeling something or dealing with something. So now you know, like, okay, communication could be as light as I'm dealing with something right now. Give me grace, right? You got it. Instead of keeping everything to ourselves and letting everybody else play the guessing game, get rid of the guessing by being consistent in your communication. If you don't know, ask. If you don't understand, ask. If you don't understand, ask again. Be willing to ask. Most people don't comprehend until after 3 to 7 times of repeated information. After they've gotten this repeated information 3 to 7 times, now they don't have to get it all verbally, right? They can see it, they can experience it, but they have to get it in somehow 3 to 7 times for them to usually comprehend, right? And yes, you may have to repeat yourself. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you will have to repeat yourself. People don't know what you're talking about until they hear you talk about it enough. People don't take you seriously until they realize that this is serious to you. How do you do that? How do you show that? Consistency. Y'all wouldn't be here when you come to AIM, always improving the mind. You know I'm going to talk about mindset. You know I'm going to talk about improving mental health. You know this. Says true. Knowing where people stand diffuses a lot of conflicts. Absolutely. Absolutely. You ever get to the point where somebody else can answer for you? Being consistent in your communication, being consistent, this is how other people, knowing your character, cannot be fooled or persuaded to go against you. When people spread rumors, gossip, that gossip gets cut off if it doesn't align with you. You know, it's jokes or whatever, but they'll be like, hey, man, Trey said such and such about you. What you gonna do about that? And most people that know me, they be like, that don't sound right. That don't sound like something he'll say. That don't sound like something he'll do. And why are you telling me and not him? You can come to me and ask, and they'll take my word instead of yours because no, if I got something to say to you, I'll say it. I have no problem telling you my perspective, my truth. I have no problem. So yes, you will have to repeat yourself. And after repeating yourself, it don't have to be all in the same conversation. But after you've said the same thing enough times, people know that this is what you believe. This is what you think. This is what's true to you. This is your perspective. Your consistency in communication shows people where you stand. And knowing that diffuses a lot of conflicts. Thank you, TD. I appreciate that. So, yes, people, we will have to be consistent in communication. Check out this live, this replay to know more. If you're just getting in, thank you for being here. Appreciate everybody that views, likes, comments, share, all of that good stuff. Man, more to come. We're gonna wrap up communication tomorrow, but there's so much more, so much more to talk about in this realm of communication. So I don't know if we're gonna continue the next week all about communication, but this week has been powerful. It's been powerful. Like I've sent this to a few people that I think need to improve in certain areas myself. No shade. I just want you to improve, especially if I got to deal with you. But you improve your own communication, and usually that improves communication around you. You got to be the change that you want to see in the world. So if you think people are terrible at listening, the biggest issue in communication is listening, then you must become a better listener. Most people that think that aren't as great of a listener as they think they are. I know I'm great at listening, and I admitted that I'm still not that great at listening. It's because I know I still have to improve. I know I still got areas to work on. I might be great listening to a stranger. It's the first time I've interacted with you. Everything's interested. But ask my wife. Ask my wife how good at listening I am. Every now and then I'll say something and she be like, I told you this a week ago. I'm like, oh, I did not. Listening is a daily practice, but you got to practice it. You get better with time. There is no perfect. There is uh no final like, oh, I'm done with that. Like I learned that, I mastered that. That's it. Like nah. You'll always be improving, man. And you got to accept that. I have to accept that. But not to drag you guys on. Much love. I appreciate everybody who's here. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment, share this with the people. Um, yeah. I'm brainstorming some things that I could do. Y'all let me know in the comments, in the chats. Reach out to me. My email and contact info is in the bios. So reach out to me. Let me know if there's anything that I can do, or you're inquiring about any services. All love, TD. Much love, man. Much love. Thank you for being here, boss. And any services, I can do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, leadership coaching for the jobs. I do a lot. I'm doing a college and career expo next week. I'm doing a college and career expo. So I do youth, I do the kid, I work with the kids, you know, and that's fun. That's fun. And kids be so absorbative and they're so intelligent, man. I love to pick the young man. Like, yo, you about to be a beast out here, man. It has been a lot. It has been a lot. What I learned is the longer I'm live, the more YouTube pushes me out. So I can get long winded, but we could talk, man. When you talking about something that you're passionate about, and you know and you've experienced, you'll be willing to talk. You'll be willing to talk. But yes, be consistent with your communication. Be willing to repeat yourself. Be willing to ask and ask again, right? And consistency builds trust. And not only do you repeat yourself, this is one of the ways people tell that you're lying. Not only do you repeat yourself, but are you saying the same thing, right? If you just said that you responded to the same question with 4 different responses, you're lying, right? It's not consistent. Consistency builds trust. So be consistent in your communication. That's it. That's all. I'm out. Till next